Hello, it's Gabby here for you, and I hope this finds you well. This week's podcast, I'm going to be talking about a subject that comes up a lot for people that I'm working with. Um, and so it's something I've worked on a lot in my life, and that is what is radical self care? Self care, why is it so important? And if you're not used to caring for yourself, how do you start and how do you go about that? So I really think for a lot of women that I'm working with, radical self-care is really something that they're not used to at all in many walks of life, being a mother, being an employee, being an sister, whatever your background is. Quite often we are used to putting other people first. And it can feel really alien at first about self-care. Oh, is that not a little bit self-indulgent? Is that not a bit something that I shouldn't be doing? I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with that, but I'm here to tell you my personal experience and the experience of people that I work with is that self-care and loving yourself and caring for yourself is part of the path to total happiness and healthy living. And for me, it's been crucial, that step of moving to from somebody who, from a small child, really thinking that self-care was something that wasn't quite nice, something that wasn't quite the good thing to do. I've moved away from that now into thinking that self-care is part of my wellness plan, and I'm happy to share what I've learned. And then I'm going to share a few things of how do you start? How do you start if this is a new habit for you? So for me, as I say, I was very used when I was a small child by people around me, and probably they might have been doing this with all good intentions of they wanted me to be a good girl. They didn't want me to be arrogant or too full of myself, because I was told that that was a sin to be totally selfish. And so from a very small child, I was really aware of that critical voice of everybody, it seemed, telling me what I was doing wrong, whether it's my parents, wider family, whether it was teachers, whether it's other people in society, for whatever reason, making me feel, as I did then, that I was wrong, that there was something wrong with me. And so I've learned over the years that I am as good as anybody else. Not above anybody, not below anybody, but I am as good as anybody else. But when you're used to hearing that little critical voice, it's quite hard sometimes to switch it off. So I'm here to tell you that radical self-care is not just about having a bubble bath and a herbal tea, although those are nice things to do for yourself. It's much more than that. It's the way that you talk to yourself. And we all do it. We all have that little voice inside of our heads. And sometimes it's replaying things that other people have said to us that are quite critical. And sometimes that little critical voice is the words that you need to let go of, and you need to put them in their place. And I know myself, when I was in some of my very busy jobs, I might have done 10 things in the day. And one of the things that I did wasn't very good, or, for whatever reason, it went wrong or I made a mistake. But that would be the thing that I would remember and carry around with me. Oh, remember when you did that thing wrong? Oh, remember when you made that mistake? But all the good things that I'd done and all the great things that I'd done and all the things that I'd accomplished, kind of took that for granted. So I'm really conscious of that now, to put things in perspective is what I'm going to say. And what I'd suggest to you, if you want to turn that little critical voice into being your biggest fan, is to talk to yourself the way that you would talk to somebody that you really love and you really care for. And just imagine, if you were talking in the way that some of us do to ourselves, if you said, oh, you always mess that up, or you're not very good at that, oh, what a fool, you've made a fool of yourself again. Would you really talk to somebody that you love like that? Would you talk to a small child like that? Because imagine if a small child was hearing those words every day, how do you think they'd be? Do you think they might be self-critical? Do you think they might lack confidence? But if you talk to yourself like that every day, subliminally, you're giving yourself that message that you don't matter, that you're not as good as anybody else. And that is simply not true. Okay, so one of the biggest things you can do for yourself to increase your happiness is think about the way that you talk to yourself. Think about the way that you would speak to somebody that you love. You'd talk kindly to them. You would talk kindly to them, wouldn't you? You'd show them some compassion. You'd accept sometimes they might mess up, they might make a mistake. Doesn't stop them being a good person, doesn't define who they are. You would help that person to fulfill their needs. You would adapt to their needs. this is how we treat people that we love, but sometimes we forget to treat ourselves like that. That's so true. And so I'm saying to you that really the way that you talk to yourself and really get into this self-care, really getting into this self-care, you can become your own best friend. You can become your own advocate. You can become your own boss. Make that voice that's inside your head more important than the outside voices that you may hear. That might be kind, they may not, but they're not as important as the way that you talk to yourself. The most important thing is the relationship that you've got with yourself. Other people may come and go. Other people may let you down. Other people may not act in the way that you want them to. But you are always with you, and the person that you look in the mirror, that is the person, relationship, the most important relationship you're going to have in your life. So give yourself some slack is basically what I'm saying. Be kind to yourself, okay? Talk kindly to yourself. And if you've got in that habit of putting yourself down, that inner little self-talk that's always very critical, catch yourself doing it and then just push those thoughts away and say, no, I'm not listening to that. It does take practice. And one of the things that I learned is to give myself little gifts. And I started really giving myself a gift after my cancer diagnosis. And when I got the great news that my cancer had gone, when I was no evidence of disease, I marked that date in my diary, 16th of May. And every year now on that date, particularly, I will remember to go out and buy myself a present. It doesn't have to be something expensive. It can be a little piece of silver jewelry. It doesn't have to be. Or if it's something really self-indulgent that I might not buy every week, but something that's a real treat. A beautiful body cream or some really nice body bath salts or something like that, something that's a little bit of a treat. And the other thing that I started to do, it was my birthday recently, and I was very lucky. I got 2 beautiful bouquets, really unexpected, delivered to my house. Gorgeous. And the smell of the flowers in the house, the sight of them, the colours, really lifted my spirits every time I looked at them. And I thought, I should buy myself flowers more often. And so I'm making that a bit of a ritual now. And on that note, rituals is something that really helps me. I'm a busy person. Many of you listening to this podcast might be feeling, well, I'm too busy. I'd love to be caring for myself more, but I really don't have time. But I have little rituals. My Sunday is my ritual for calming myself down, for planning my week ahead, changing my bedding, having an early night, having a nice warm relaxing bath before bed. That's my ritual. And another ritual that I like to have is Wednesdays, is when I do some self-care for myself. Might have a face pack, might do my nails, I might reorganize a drawer or do some decluttering. But it's always something, on a Wednesday, it's midweek, catch my breath. It can be just take 10 minutes. It could take half an hour. It could be an hour just for yourself. Have that little ritual. Whenever it is, you can plan it in. Time for yourself, just to take a breath and remind yourself that you're doing something for you, not for everybody else, just something for you. Okay. And so the other thing I'd want to say about gifts is, as I say, it was my birthday recently, and I was really blessed with some of the gifts that I've got. But I am in the habit now of buying myself a gift quite often, whether it's my birthday or just because I want to. And when I get a gift on my birthday or whenever else, that's a bonus. Somebody else has bought me something. That's an absolute bonus. So I never get in the thing of feeling disappointed with the gifts that I've got, because I'm very fortunate. I am in the position where I can buy things for myself, and that's great. And then other things that I get are just a beautiful bonus. But think about how special it makes you feel if somebody says, oh, I saw this and I thought of you. I thought you'd like this. Why not do that for yourself? Because you know you better than anybody else. You know the gifts that you like to get. So don't get resentful because, oh, I wish my other half had bought me the thing that I wanted for my birthday. Get it for yourself. That'd be my advice. And so care for yourself in the way that you'd want to be cared for, okay? You don't have to be resentful or disappointed with anything, but just remember that little voice inside of you should be your best friend. It should be boosting you up, reminding you of all the good things you've done in your life, all the things that you've achieved, all the things that you're good at, all the things that you can be proud of. Be proud of yourself is what I'd remind you. And if you're struggling with any of this, if you've really got a block around, well, I don't know if I can do that. I just feel like, somebody said to me recently, I just feel like everything I touch, is a disaster. Everything that is in my life is going wrong. That's how it feels at the minute. And if you feel like that, you need to talk to somebody. Coaching could help with that. Coaching can help you get rid of those mindset blocks. And that is something that I help people with. So if you're interested in that and you want to talk about that, you know where I am. Reach out to me, book a call with me. I'd love to have a chat with you. But remember, once you become your own best friend, you will always have that best friend in life. No matter what life throws at you, you will be able to deal with it because your own best friend, you know that you're there for you. Yeah. And your health and your happiness depend on you being there for yourself. So thank you so much for listening. Hope that makes sense. And think about what you're going to do. Could be a little thing, could be a big thing. What you're going to do for yourself this week to really increase your self-care. Because, my darling, you know, as the L'Oreal advert used to say, you're worth it. I know you are. So as always, remember to stay safe and stay sane. Have a brilliant week. Thank you so much for listening to me. See you soon, my darling. Bye-bye.